So this video is about arriving in Australia. So my goal was to stay in Australia for 2 years because apparently that's what I had to do in order to get paid for the trip. I only paid 50 bucks for the whole thing, 50 Deutschmarks at the time. And so I was kind of said, okay, 2 years, and then I go back to Germany and go back to IBM because my English will be good at the time and I can do all the courses. Okay. Um, so, like, I got in Bremerhaven, we got on the ship, and then on the 22nd of December, I think, we arrived in Fremantle in Australia. And the first thing I got off the boat, um, I bought a a thing of cherries. It's winter. It's the 22nd of December, and there are fresh cherries. I mean, that was unbelievable to start with. So from there, um, from Fremantle, we drove around the bottom of Australia to Adelaide. And we stopped in Adelaide. Some of our friends got off in Adelaide, and or did we? No, we didn't stop in Adelaide. I can't remember now. But anyway, on the 24th of December, we arrived in Melbourne. We stayed in Melbourne, I think, for a day, and then we sailed to Sydney. So some of our friends already left in Melbourne, um, and of course, it was Christmas Eve, 24th, and so we had the 24th and the 25th. We were to arrive on the 26th in Sydney. So which was kind of, it was basically just drinking and having fun for 2 days, just celebrating Christmas on the ship in summer. It was unbelievable. But that was okay. I mean, I handled it very well. With a lot of headaches and a lot of hangovers, but that was okay. So come the 26th, I in the morning, early morning, I got with my hangover. I got up on top of the deck, and because Werner taught me, we're sailing into the harbor. Man, like we sailed in Sydney Harbor, the two heads, either side of the harbor entrance. It was fantastic, just driving it. Then once we got into the harbor, the whole harbor was full with sailing ships, and I thought they're all there for me, but it wasn't the case. They actually came for the Sydney to Hobart race, which starts on that day. So there were so many sailing boats in there. It was a beautiful day, and as soon as we got through the heads and I saw this, I looked out and I said, "I'm never going to leave here. It's so beautiful," and so that was it. I just said, Australia, this is it for me. Stuff's the 2 years. I don't care. I'm staying here. Anyhow, so we arrived there. We arrived on Pier Pyrmont. I can't remember the pier. I think 13 or something like that. Pier 13, and I wasn't because I wasn't expecting anybody to see there because like I didn't say. Or actually, that's not quite true. Um, because in Melbourne, I got some friends of mine who spoke English quite well um, to call my uncle in Sydney and tell him that we are a day early or late, uh, a day early, and just to let him know that I'm coming, that I'm on the ship, and that's it. That I wasn't going to do anything else, um, and because like we were assigned going into hostels at the time, and so when we got when we got to Sydney, I didn't expect. So I just went back to bed for a while because I knew it takes a while to get everybody off the boat. And eventually, I just wandered up there, looking out. I had packed and everything was fine. Looking out there, and on the terminal, there was this guy standing smoking a pipe, and he looked the spitting image of my father. And I said, that must be my Uncle Frank. I don't know. So I waved. He looked turned around and walked away. I said, "Yep, that's him." I didn't wave back or anything. It just turned around and walked back um, into the building. So I said, "Oh, okay, then fair enough." Anyhow, long story short, he waited for me on the other side. We collected my um, we collected my luggage, my overseas thing, put it in the car, and we start driving. And I said to him in German, I said, well, "Are we going to talk in German or English?" And so on. He answered me in English and said, "Well, we're talking in English, obviously, you know." Okay, so we weren't talking. That was it. But nice enough, somehow he got through to me that this is Sydney to Hobart Race, and that's why all the sailing boats are there. I also gave him the address of Christoph's brother's friend, Jochen, who lived in Vaucluse. Just, that's where Jochen or Christoph's brother was supposed to pick me up on the ship. That's what it was, yes. But because we arrived a day early and I had no means of calling the guy, so that's why we called my uncle. That's right, I remember now. And so my uncle drove me to Vaucluse, where this guy is supposed to live, but we couldn't find the address or anything like that. So he took me home. It was about a 40 minutes drive out in the suburbs where he lived. And so I just got to meet his family, his wife, Janet, and then three boys, Mark, Neil, and Alan. Alan was the oldest, and Mark and Neil. And so, I just, okay, that's Michael from Germany, doesn't speak any English. And the kids looked at me as if I'm coming somewhere from a different planet. And I was assigned a bed, a bunk bed. Neil was sleeping on top, I was sleeping on the bottom. Neil had the habit of when he's going to sleep, he was rocking in the bed, so the whole bed was shaking back and forth. So anyway. But I had a home to stay. I stayed there, I think about 4 weeks, and it was very nice. My aunt, she was a teacher, librarian, and she was teaching me some English. Um, she in the method she had was, I was helping her setting the table for lunch, and she said, "Well, can you give me a knife?" So I handed her the fork, and she said, "No, no, no, the knife." So I handed her a spoon. "No, this is a spoon. It's not the knife." So eventually I got to the knife and said, "Oh, thank you very much." So that's how I learned the initial basics of the English language, by doing it, and yeah. So that was it. I was in Australia and determined to stay for a while, or at least for the rest of my life. That was the idea. Yep. So that's the story about me landing in Australia. I was at the age I was 25 that year.